Level 0 apartment complex, parking. Early morning, you open your eyes. The phone lies on the bedside table. A notification on the screen. Your account is activated. 2 weeks ago, you filled out a form on the Uber website. Name, age, driver's license number. The car must be no older than 15 years. 4 doors are mandatory. You uploaded photos of documents, insurance, and technical inspection. The background check took between 3 and 10 business days. They checked your criminal history and driving record. No major violations in the last 7 years. No at-fault accidents in the last 3 years. You passed. Now you are an independent contractor, not an employee. This means no fixed salary, no paid vacation, no company medical insurance, no pension contributions. You bear all the costs yourself: gas, repairs, insurance, taxes. In return, you get one word: freedom. You decide when to work. You decide how much to work. You decide where to work. It sounds perfect. You go down to the car. A 2019 Honda Civic. Mileage is 112,000 kilometers, 69,500 miles. The interior is clean. You vacuumed it last night. In the glove compartment, there is a phone charger, a bottle of water, and a pack of tissues. Experienced drivers advise keeping in the car a charging cable for passengers, mints, wet wipes, and a trash bag on the headrest. Little things that raise your rating without a single word. You turn on the app. A map of your city appears on the screen. Gray zones are low demand. Yellow zones are medium. Red zones, with a lightning bolt icon, are high demand and surge pricing. You press the button, go online. Nothing happens for the first few seconds. Then the screen vibrates. First request. The passenger is 1.5 kilometers, 0.9 miles away from you. You see the distance to the passenger. You see his name and rating. You do not see the route to the final destination. The system will only show it after pickup. You have 15 seconds to decide. If you don't accept, the request will go to another driver. You tap accept. The navigator builds the route. You pull out of the yard. Your heart is beating faster than usual. It is not fear. It is the adrenaline of the first day. The passenger is standing by the entrance. A man in his mid-30s with a backpack. He gets in, says the address, and buries his face in his phone. The navigator shows the route. 12 minutes, 7 kilometers, 4.3 miles. You drive calmly. There is no traffic. He gets out, says thank you, and closes the door. The amount appears on the screen. $4.72. This is your first trip. Uber took its commission, 25% of the base fare. 75% reached you. No tip arrived. You look at the screen. $4.72 for 12 minutes. That is $23 an hour if the trips go without a break. But the trips do not go without a break. Between 2 and 20 minutes pass between requests. You do not earn money during this time. You burn gas idling during this time. Welcome to the system. Level 1. Blue residential neighborhood. Early morning, the first week, is behind you. You have completed 31 trips. Your rating is 4.85 out of 5. It sounds good, but for Uber, this is the minimum acceptable threshold. The rating system works on a rolling average of the last 500 ratings. 1 star instead of 5 drops the average by several hundreds. To compensate for one single unit, you need to get about 45-star ratings in a row. Passengers do not understand this math. To them, 4 out of 5 means good. To the algorithm, 4 out of 5 means a problem. There are simple tricks that raise the rating without big investments. A clean interior is the baseline. The passenger opens the door, and the first thing they see is the seat. Crumbs, stains, or the smell of the previous passenger instantly lower expectations. Experienced drivers vacuum the interior every night. Wipe the dashboard with a damp cloth. Keep a neutral air freshener without a sharp smell in the car. The second trick is temperature. In the summer, the air conditioner should be running before the passenger gets in. They get into a cool car. It is a pleasant surprise. In the winter, the interior should be warm. The third trick is music. Quiet, neutral background music. No rap, no heavy rock, no political radio, lo-fi jazz, or soft pop. The passenger can ask to change or turn it off. The main thing is no dead silence and no annoying sound. The fourth trick is navigation. Always use the navigator, even if you know the route by heart. The passenger sees the screen and feels in control. If they suggest their own route, agree. Arguing about the route costs stars. On the blue level, you have a minimal set of bonuses. A 3% discount at partner gas stations. Basic chat technical support. A free subscription to a mileage tracking app. It is not much, but it is a start. You are driving a man to the airport early in the morning. He is silent and looks at his phone. The trip takes 18 minutes. You bring him exactly on time. He gets out. No rating, no tip. A silent passenger is not a bad passenger. It is a standard passenger. About 60% of passengers do not leave a tip. About 30% do not rate at all. This is normal. Do not take it personally. The next request comes in 7 minutes later. The passenger is 6 kilometers, 3.7 miles away. Uber does not pay for the kilometers to the passenger. These are called dead miles. You spend gas and car where to get to the pickup point. You will not be paid a dime for this mileage. Experienced drivers decline requests with a long pickup. Rule of thumb: if it takes more than 10 minutes to get to the passenger, the request is likely unprofitable. But every decline lowers your acceptance rate. While you are on the blue level, this is not critical. At higher levels, the acceptance rate begins to affect your status. You accept the request. The passenger cancels 1 minute before you arrive. You will receive a cancellation fee. $3.50 for 6 kilometers, 3.7 miles, 10 minutes, and a third of a liter, 0.1 gallons of fuel. It is a loss, but a cancellation fee is better than nothing. Some drivers intentionally wait for the passenger to cancel after 5 minutes of waiting. If the passenger hasn't shown up after 5 minutes, the driver can cancel and get the fee without a rating penalty. A new request comes in. Next to the address is a small icon, pool. This is a shared ride. The system will add more passengers along the way. The route will become longer. The pay will remain almost the same. Pool is profitable for the platform, but rarely profitable for the driver. You will spend more time and gas. Passengers will be nervous about the detours. If one is late, the other gets angry, and both leave a rating. You can decline, but you are a beginner. You need trips for statistics. You accept. The first passenger gets in. 8 minutes later, the second one gets in. The route loops around. Traffic builds up unexpectedly. The first passenger nervously looks at his watch. You cannot change anything. The algorithm built this route. The algorithm added the second person. The first one gives you 3 stars and writes, "Slow driving. It is unfair, but the system does not distinguish whether it is your fault or the circumstances. To the algorithm, the driver is always at fault. What do you do? Choose. Write a reply to the review or swallow IT and keep driving." Gas station. Daytime. You stopped at a gas station. It is time to calculate the real numbers. Every Uber driver must understand their economics. If you do not, you are working blind. 7 trips today. The app shows earnings $31.17. This is the gross figure before expenses. Gas for today, about $8. Car wear and tear is calculated by the IRS standard, 67 cents per mile. This includes depreciation, oil, tires, brakes, insurance. Today you drove 173 kilometers, 107 miles. Total expenses by standard, $72. Earnings minus expenses, negative $41. This means you paid for the right to work today, but this is the first week you are learning. Experienced drivers know 3 rules of economics. First, calculate all expenses every day. Download a mileage tracking app, Stride, Everlance, or record every mile, every dollar for a car wash, every receipt for gas. Second, calculate the net hourly rate, not gross revenue, but net profit divided by actual hours behind the wheel, including waiting time. If the net rate is below the minimum wage in your state, you are operating at a loss. Third, set aside for taxes immediately. 25% of every earning goes into a separate envelope or account. Quarterly payments for self-employed individuals are due 4 times a year. If you did not save up, in April you will get a bill for several thousand. This is not a scare tactic. This is math. Level 2, Gold Airport Driver, Waiting Lot, Midday, 113 trips. Rating 4.90 out of 5. Gold status achieved. You start getting 5% cash back on the base fare of trips, not on tips, not on surge pricing, only on the base fare. This is roughly $8 to $12 extra for an active week. The gold level does not require a minimum acceptance rate. This is an important advantage. You can decline unprofitable trips without fear of losing your status. Use this. Decline pool if you do not want it. Decline long pickups if the distance to the passenger is more than 15 minutes. On the gold level, you first see the approximate direction of the trip before accepting the request. Not the exact address, but an arrow, north, south, east, west. This gives a minimal idea of the route. You can guess. The airport is south, downtown is north, the suburbs are west. Today you arrived at the airport queue for the first time. The Uber driver waiting lot is located 2 kilometers, 1.2 miles from the terminal. There is no canopy here. There is no restroom here. There is only asphalt, other cars, and waiting. There are 47 drivers standing in line ahead of you. The average airport trip costs between $20 and $40. This is good, but the average wait in the queue from 40 minutes to 2 hours. During this time, you could have made 2 or 3 city trips. The airport is profitable if the queue is short, less than 20 cars. The airport is unprofitable if the queue is long, more than 50. Check the number of cars in the queue through the app before going. An experienced driver in a black minivan parks nearby. He takes out a thermos. Without preamble, he says, "Airport trips are a lottery. You can get a business district for $25 and 15 minutes. You can get a suburb for $30 and 40 minutes there, plus 40 minutes back, empty. A suburban trip kills an hour for $30. In the city, in that hour, you will make 3 trips for $45, he says. I only come to the airport when I see a queue of less than 15 cars, he says. And it's even better to catch passengers near the hotels right next to the airport. They call Uber from there, and the pickup is less than a minute. This is a strategy. Not everyone shares such things. Remember it. You have been sitting in the queue for an hour and 40 minutes. Your position. Third, at this moment, a city request comes in with surge pricing. Double rate, 15 minutes to the passenger. If you leave, you lose your position at the airport. An hour and 40 minutes of waiting goes to 0. If you stay, you lose the double rate. It will disappear in 30 seconds. What do you do? Choose. Accept the city request or stay at the airport. Night shift. Friday. In your 3rd month, you decide to try a Friday night. This is the time of maximum surges. Bars close at 2 a.m. Restaurants release their last guests. The algorithm sees a spike in demand and raises the multiplier. A trip that costs $8 during the day can cost $24 at night. It is profitable, but it is a special kind of work. The first passenger gets in at 1 in the morning. He is in high spirits, talking loudly and a lot. He is a good passenger. He gives 5 stars and leaves an $8 tip in cash. The second passenger gets in at 2:30. He is silent. He falls asleep after 3 minutes. You drive him to the address, wake him up gently. He says thanks and leaves. This is a standard night situation. The third passenger gets in at 3 in the morning. He is aggressive. He is talking on the phone and yelling. You feel the tension. You have the right to cancel the trip if you feel threatened. Uber allows the driver to cancel a request for safety reasons without a rating penalty. Button, cancel trip reason. I do not feel safe. This is not cowardice. This is protocol. No amount of money is worth your safety. You cancel. The passenger gets out. You lock the doors and drive on. It was the right decision. The fourth passenger is a woman. A long trip out of town, 35 minutes. She gives 5 stars and a $10 tip. On the way back, you drive for 40 minutes on an empty highway without a single request. During this time, the gas burns. The meter does not spin. This is the reality of the night shift. High tickets are offset by long dead hauls. Experienced night drivers use the anchor strategy. They pick one popular zone and return to it after every trip. The bar district, the restaurant street, the central square. They do not chase red zones all over the city. They wait in one spot and take what comes. This reduces dead miles and increases net profit per hour. For the night shift from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., you earned $112, minus $22 for gas and wear and tear, net $90 for 6 hours, $15 an hour. This is better than the day shift, but your sleep schedule is broken. Saturday is lost to recovery. Decide for yourself if it is worth it. Level 3, Platinum Car, early morning. Rain 261 trips. Rating 4.92, Platinum status. At this level, you get more information about the trip before accepting estimated trip duration and direction. This allows you to filter out unprofitable requests more accurately. The Platinum level requires a minimum 25% acceptance rate. This means out of every 4 requests, you must accept at least 1. You can decline 3. This is a soft requirement. Most drivers maintain 50 to 70% effortlessly. You are in your 5th month of work. In the morning, you turn on the app and notice a notification. Your car is approaching scheduled maintenance. It is time to calculate the real cost of maintaining a car. Oil and filter change every 8,000 kilometers, 5,000 miles, $60 to $85. Brake pads on 4 wheels, $200 to $250 with labor. A set of tires, $400 to $600, depending on the brand. Windshield wiper replacement, $20 to $30. Car wash twice a week, $40 a month. Total monthly maintenance costs from $120 to $300. These are mandatory expenses. Saving on them is dangerous. Bald tires on a wet road is not saving money. It is Russian roulette. Experienced drivers create a maintenance schedule and set aside a fixed amount every week, $50 a week, into a separate envelope for repairs. When the bill from the service station arrives, the money is already there. This is the only way not to go into the red from an unexpected breakdown. It starts raining outside the window. This is bad and good news at the same time. Bad: slippery road, low visibility, nervous passengers. Good: the algorithm raises the surge for bad weather. When a red zone appears on the map, it means demand exceeds supply. But the red zone can disappear in a minute. While you are driving to it, other drivers are driving there too. The more drivers arrive, the lower the surge drops. The strategy of an experienced driver: do not drive to the red zone. Stay put. Wait for the zone to expand to you, or accept regular requests along the way. Chasing a lightning bolt on the map is a trap for beginners. You already know this. At the end of the month, the first letter about quarterly taxes arrives. You prepared. From the first month, you set aside 25%. You have $800 in your account for taxes. The bill from the IRS, $792. You pay it calmly. A driver who did not save up gets the same bill, but he has no money. He takes out a credit card loan. Interest rate, 24% annually. This is the beginning of a debt spiral. You didn't end up in it because you calculated a request comes in. A long trip out of town, 40 minutes one way. The surge is good. The road is wet. Something has been crunching in the suspension for the 3rd day. What do? Choose. Accept the request and deal with the suspension tomorrow, or end the shift and go to the mechanic right now. Car, evening. In your 5th month, you try multi-apping for the first time. This is working in multiple apps simultaneously. Uber, Lyft, DoorDash. When there are no requests in one app, you take one from another. This reduces downtime, but it requires attention and quick switching. There is a risk. Uber tracks behavioral anomalies, slowed request acceptance, unorthodox routing, long pauses between acceptance and pickup. The system may lower your priority for showing requests. Uber officially denies this, but drivers on forums describe the same pattern. After multi-apping, the requests get worse. If you multi-app, do it carefully. Do not accept a request in Uber if you are already driving a passenger in Lyft. Do not keep both apps active simultaneously. When you have a passenger, reputation in each app is a separate asset. To lose one account is to lose one source of income. To lose both is to lose everything. Level 4, Diamond Car. Weekday, early morning, 518 trips. Rating 4.96. Diamond status. The highest tier of the Uber Pro program. You get priority in the airport queue. This means you bypass drivers on lower levels. You get 2 extra uses of the destination filter. The destination filter allows you to accept only requests in the direction you need. Going home after a shift, turn on the filter and take passengers only along your route. Dead miles go to 0. This is the most valuable bonus of the Diamond level. You get access to a dedicated support line. On the regular line, they wait 30 to 40 minutes. On the Diamond line, it is theoretically faster. Realistically, average wait is from 10 to 20 minutes, better than nothing. The Diamond level requires a 70% acceptance rate. This is where the serious compromise begins. 70% means out of 10 requests, you can decline only 3. You can no longer freely filter. You are obligated to accept requests that are not always profitable. Short $3 trips, long pickups, pool. All this for the sake of keeping the status. The question you must ask yourself, is the Diamond status worth what I lose on unprofitable trips? Calculate it. Diamond bonuses bring you roughly $50 to $70 extra a month. The unprofitable trips you are forced to take to maintain 70% cost you roughly $100 to $120 in lost profit. For many drivers, the gold or platinum level turns out to be more profitable than diamonds, because on those you have more freedom to decline. This is not written in the Uber Pro advertisements. This is known only by those who did the math. You have been working in Uber for 8 months. Your car has driven 41,000 kilometers, 25,400 miles during this time. Of those, 28,000 kilometers, 17,300 miles were with passengers. The remaining 13,000 kilometers, 8,000 miles, were dead miles. You were not paid for the dead miles. The car wore down for the full 100% of the mileage. You know your numbers. Your average net rate, after all expenses, $13.50 an hour. This is above minimum wage. This is below the average salary of an office worker. But you have no boss. You have no schedule. You have no dress code. You choose what days to work. For some, this is worth the difference in salary. For some, it is not. This morning, you turned on the app out of habit. Your hand grabbed the phone before you thought about it. You checked your rating before you checked your messages. This is a habit that formed imperceptibly. 3 weeks ago, a passenger filed a complaint, wrote that you were driving aggressively. You remember that trip? Rain, rush hour. The passenger himself asked to drive faster. Uber sent an email. The complaint has been recorded. An investigation is underway. You do not know the results. You do not know the timeline. This is standard procedure. In most cases, one complaint does not lead to deactivation. Deactivation usually happens after several complaints of the same type, or after a critical drop in rating below 4.6, or after a serious violation, driving under the influence, physical conflict. One unfounded complaint is unpleasant, but it is not the end. Save a screenshot of the route. Write down the date and time of the trip. If the complaint turns into an investigation, this is your evidence. Document your work. This is the only protection when you don't have a union. Today, a passenger gets in for the last trip of your shift, a young guy. After 5 minutes, he looks up and asks, "Do you like this job, you think? Do you like it? You like driving through the empty city in the morning to quiet music. You like not reporting to anyone. You like ending the shift when you decide not when a manager decides. You do not like counting every mile. You do not like depending on the stars of strangers. You do not like that your car is aging faster than an office worker's. But you are here not because you have no choice. You are here because this type of work suits you right now. This is an honest answer, not enthusiastic, not depressing, honest. The shift ends. You look at the summary of the day. $86 net for 7 hours. $12.28 an hour. A normal day. You drive home. What do? Choose, delete the app, and look for a staff job, or set the alarm for 5 a.m. Jimmy's office. Archive. A dim lamp casts a yellow light on the dark wooden panels of the walls. A grown man in a beige trench coat sits at a heavy oak desk. This is Detective Jimmy. He places a mug of black coffee on the table and looks at you. You just drove 8 months in one car. For 8 months, you called this working without a boss. Let's break down what was actually controlling you all this time. Phenomenon 1. The illusion of autonomy. Psychologist Barry Schwartz described this in the book, The Paradox of Choice. When a person is given the appearance of control, they work harder. Uber sells the idea, you are your own boss. In practice, the algorithm decides what requests you see. It controls your route through the navigator. It controls your income through multipliers. It controls your time through notifications and red zones. Every lightning bolt on the map is not information for you. It is a command to move there. Remember the first day. You accepted an order without knowing where you were going. This is exactly how the system is designed. You make decisions with incomplete information. Jimmy opens a folder with a Stanford University study. Scientists proved Uber drivers work 18% longer on days when their personal earning goal is almost reached. The app knows this goal. The app uses it. A snail in a fedora hat sits on the keyboard of an old laptop. She presses one key over and over again. The screen does not change, but she keeps pressing. Psychological first aid. The illusion of autonomy exists in any job, freelance, remote work, small business. A simple test. Make a list of 10 decisions you make in a workday. How many of them truly depend on you, and how many are dictated by the platform or client? If more than 7 are dictated externally, your autonomy is formal. Realizing this doesn't mean you need to quit your job. Realizing this means you stop overestimating your freedom and start managing the real levers. Google Paradox of Choice, Barry Schwartz. Phenomenon 2. Sunk costs trap. Remember the evening you sat in the airport queue for an hour and 40 minutes. You could have left for a city request, but you had already spent an hour and 40. That hour will not come back regardless of your decision. Economists call this sunk costs. You stayed not because the airport was more profitable. You stayed because you had already invested the time. Nobel laureate Richard Taylor proved people make decisions based on what they have already spent rather than future benefit. Uber builds queues on this exact principle. A long wait feels like an investment. Abandoning the queue feels like a loss. It is an illusion. The snail slowly crawls along the edge of a large old coin on Jimmy's desk. She has gone halfway around. Stopping seems like losing what she's covered. But the coin is round. The path never ends. Psychological first aid before any decision. Ask yourself, am I continuing because it is profitable right now, or because I have already invested time and money? If the answer is the latter, stop and recalculate. Past investments are not an argument for continuing a losing venture. Google, Sunk Cost Fallacy, Richard Taylor. Phenomenon 3, the Tyranny of 5 Stars. Initially, 5 stars meant exceptional service, above all expectations. In the Uber system, 5 stars means normal, nothing happened. 4 stars means you are starting to lose ground. 3 is a serious red flag. This is expectation inflation. You are obligated to be perfect just to remain neutral. Jimmy pulls out Alex Rosenblatt's book, Uberland. She documented, drivers receive bad ratings for things outside their control. Traffic jams, navigator routing, rain, road construction. The system does not distinguish between the driver and the circumstances. To the algorithm, the driver is always guilty. The snail carefully arranges tiny paper stars on Jimmy's desk, one by one, then accidentally bumps one. The whole row looks precarious. Psychological first aid. In any rating system, ask the question, who controls the criteria for evaluation? If the criteria constantly shift in favor of the platform, you are playing an unequal game. Document your work. Save screenshots of unfounded complaints. This is your only protection without the legal status of an employee. Google, Uberland, Alex Rosenblatt. Phenomenon 4, the Precariat. Sociologist Guy Standing coined the term Precariat. It is a social class without stability. No contract, no pension, no sick leave, no paid time off, no right to unionize, no protection from dismissal. Uber drivers are the core of the 21st century. Precariat. Their labor is invisible in employment statistics. Account deactivation is not getting fired. It is disappearance. You cannot sue for unfair dismissal because you were not dismissed. You were simply disconnected. Jimmy picks up a newspaper with a headline about a lawsuit in the UK in 2021. The UK Supreme Court recognized Uber drivers as workers. Uber paid out compensations, changed conditions for British drivers. In most other countries of the world, nothing changed. The snail tries to lift a small flag on Jimmy's desk. The flag is too heavy for her. She cannot move it. She stays next to it and looks straight ahead. Psychological first aid. If you work as an independent contractor, study the laws regarding self-employed individuals in your country. Many platforms are obligated to provide minimum guarantees. Knowing your rights is the only tool of protection when you have no collective. Google, Precariat Guy Standing. Phenomenon 5, Gamification of Labor. Blue, gold, platinum, diamond, levels, points, progress bars, achievements. This is not a loyalty program. This is a behavior management system. Each subsequent level requires accepting more requests, maintaining a higher rating, declining less. No one forced you to work more. The system created the feeling that you had almost reached the goal. Remember the morning you first saw a rating of 4.96, 100th from the minimum. This is not a coincidence. This is a designed moment so that you do not stop. The snail in the fedora hat colors in a tiny progress bar on a piece of paper. She has colored almost all of it. One square remains. She cannot lift her brush. Psychological first aid. Notice when a platform uses game elements in the work process. Ask yourself, am I moving toward this goal because it matters to me, or because the system created a sense of incompleteness? A conscious attitude toward gamification returns control over your own time. Google, Gamification of Labor.
Authors note, we are used to thinking that exploitation looks like a 19th century factory. Dirt, machines, physical coercion. Uber looks different, your own car, flexible schedule, no boss. But beneath the sleek interface runs a system that has shifted all the cost onto the driver, car, wear, fuel, repairs, taxes, insurance. You pay all of this. The platform takes 25% and bears none of these risks. But it would be unfair to show only the dark side. For many people, the gig economy is a real lifeline. For the student who studies by day and works by night. For the immigrant who doesn't speak the language of the new city yet. For the person between jobs who needs income tomorrow, not after a month of interviews. Uber grants access to earnings without a resume, without an interview, without a probationary period. That is value. The question is not whether this job is good or bad. The question is whether you know the real conditions. The illusion of autonomy that Barry Schwartz described only works when you are unaware of it. As soon as you realize that the algorithm manages you through red zones and notifications, you can consciously choose when to obey and when to ignore. The sunk cost that Richard Thaler investigated is a trap that works everywhere, in the airport queue, in a failing project, in a relationship. That hasn't worked for a long time. The ability to say, I spent the time, but that is no reason to continue, is a skill that saves money and years of life. The Tyranny of Five Stars, documented by Alex Rosenblatt, affects everyone who works with people, a waiter, a doctor, a teacher, a freelancer. We all live in the era of ratings. Understanding how ratings affect our behavior gives us immunity from the destructive addiction to someone else's approval. Guy Standing's Precariat is not an abstract concept. It's the 100 million people worldwide working without a contract and without protection. Knowing this term provides a language to describe your situation, and what can be named has a chance of being changed. Gamification turns work into a game that is impossible not to play. Levels and statuses create a sense of progress. Progress creates the desire to continue. Awareness is the only antidote. Every morning when you open any app without thinking, that's a moment worth noticing. Any job that has become an automatic reflex deserves a review. Not necessarily a rejection, a review. You deserve to know what you are investing your time in, and how much it's worth in reality. Not according to the algorithm, according to your own. Check out the community tab right on the channel. There we choose the topic of our next investigation together. Your voice decides where we head next. Leave comments and share your stories. This was the Detective Jimmy and Snail channel. See you in the shadows.